sclerosis, or ALS. You might know it as Lou Gehrig's disease, named after the famous baseball player whose career was cut short by this illness. But what exactly is ALS, and what does it do to the human body? Today we're going to break down this complex condition in a way that's easy to understand. Let's start with the name, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. It's a mouthful, I know, but each part tells us something important about the disease. Amyotrophic comes from Greek words meaning no muscle nourishment. When a muscle has no nourishment, it atrophies, or wastes away. Lateral identifies the areas in the spinal cord where nerve cells that signal and control the muscles are located. As this area degenerates, it leads to scarring or hardening, which in medical terms is sclerosis. So, putting it all together, ALS is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord. These nerve cells, called motor neurons, are like the electrical wiring of our body. They run from the brain to the spinal cord, and then out to the muscles all over our body, controlling our every move. Think about it. Walking, talking, eating, even breathing, all of these actions depend on motor neurons. In ALS, these motor neurons gradually die. As they die, the brain loses its ability to initiate and control muscle movement. It's like the communication lines are being cut one by one. The muscles, no longer receiving signals from the brain, start to weaken and waste away. One of the most challenging aspects of ALS is that it affects people differently. For some, the first signs might be trouble with a hand, like difficulty buttoning a shirt or holding a pen. For others, it might start in a leg, causing them to trip or stumble. Some people first notice a change in their speech, which might become slurred, or they might have trouble swallowing. As the disease progresses, this muscle weakness spreads to other parts of the body. Eventually, people with ALS may lose the ability to stand, walk, get in and out of bed on their own, or use their hands and arms. When the muscles in the chest area are affected, it becomes difficult to breathe. This is why many people with advanced ALS need a ventilator to help them breathe. It's really important to understand that while ALS affects a person's physical abilities, it does not typically impair their mind, personality, intelligence, or memory. Their senses like sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch also remain intact. People with ALS are acutely aware of what's happening to them, which is an incredibly difficult reality to face. So what causes ALS? This is a question where researchers around the world are working tirelessly to answer. In about 90% of cases, there is no known family history or genetic cause. These are called sporadic ALS. In the other 10% of cases, ALS is inherited, and this is known as familial ALS. Scientists have identified several genes associated with ALS, and this research is crucial for developing potential treatments. Currently, there is no cure for ALS. However, there are treatments available that can help manage symptoms, slow the progression of the disease, and improve quality of life. Things like physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy can help patients maintain their independence for as long as possible. There are also medications that can help reduce muscle cramping and other symptoms. Living with ALS is an immense challenge, not just for the person diagnosed, but for their families and caregivers as well. It requires a huge amount of support, both physically and emotionally. If you or someone you know is struggling with the emotional impact of a diagnosis like this, please remember that support is available. Organizations like the ALS Association provide incredible resources, and mental health professionals can offer guidance and coping strategies. It is always okay to ask for help. Understanding ALS is the first step toward finding a cure. By raising awareness, supporting research, and offering compassion to those affected, we can all make a difference. The fight against ALS is a journey of hope, resilience, and community. Thank you for taking the time to learn about this important topic with me today. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content. Stay curious, and take care. Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we're discussing a very important topic, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS. You might know it as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord, leading to a loss of muscle control. While the journey with ALS is challenging, it's crucial to know that there is hope and there are ways to manage the condition. So, let's talk about how ALS can be treated. First, it's important to understand that currently, there is no cure for ALS. However, treatments are available that can help control symptoms, prevent unnecessary complications, and make living with the disease more comfortable. The approach to treatment is all about a comprehensive, multidisciplinary team effort. This means neurologists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, dietitians, and respiratory therapists all work together to create a personalized care plan. Let's start with medications. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, has approved a few drugs specifically for ALS. Riluzole was the first one. It's an oral medication that has been shown in some patients to slow the progression of the disease and extend survival by a few months. It works by reducing levels of a chemical messenger in the brain called glutamate. which can be toxic to nerve cells in high amounts. More recently, a drug called edaravone was approved. It's administered intravenously and is thought to work by reducing the effects of oxidative stress, which is a process that can damage cells. Clinical trials have shown it can help slow the decline in physical function for some people with ALS. There are also newer medications being developed and tested, which brings a lot of hope to the community. For example, a medication targeting a specific genetic mutation associated with a rare form of familial ALS was recently approved, marking a huge step forward in personalized medicine for this disease. Beyond these specific drugs, many other medications are used to manage the symptoms. For muscle cramps and stiffness, doctors might prescribe muscle relaxants if someone is experiencing excess saliva or phlegm, which is common. There are medications to help manage that. Pain, depression, and anxiety can also be part of the experience, and there are effective treatments available to help with these challenges, improving overall quality of life. Now, let's talk about therapies, which are just as important as medication. Physical therapy is key. A physical therapist can design limb-packed exercises to maintain muscle strength and range of motion for as long as possible. This helps to combat stiffness and can provide a real psychological boost. They can also recommend assistive devices like braces, walkers, or wheelchairs as mobility changes, ensuring safety and independence. Occupational therapy focuses on adapting to daily life. An occupational therapist is a creative problem solver who can help you find new ways to do everyday tasks, like dressing, eating, or using a computer. They can recommend adaptive equipment and home modifications that make a huge difference in maintaining independence and conserving energy. As ALS progresses, it can affect the muscles used for speaking and swallowing. That's where a speech therapist comes in. They can teach techniques to help speak more clearly. When speaking becomes too difficult, they are experts in communication technologies, from simple alphabet boards to advanced eye-gaze computer systems that allow a person to speak with their eyes. For swallowing difficulties, they can suggest changes in food consistency and swallowing techniques to make eating safer and prevent choking. Nutrition is another cornerstone of ALS care. A registered dietitian can help ensure you're getting enough calories, fiber, and fluids. Maintaining a healthy weight is incredibly important for preserving strength. They can also advise on preparing foods that are easier to swallow. Sometimes, if swallowing becomes too risky, a feeding tube may be recommended to ensure proper nutrition and hydration. While this sounds daunting, many people find it greatly improves their quality of life and energy levels. Finally, we need to talk about breathing support. ALS can weaken the diaphragm and other respiratory muscles. A respiratory therapist will monitor breathing function. They might recommend non-invasive ventilation, usually a mask worn at night, which helps with breathing and can improve sleep quality and reduce daytime fatigue. This can significantly extend survival and improve comfort. Living with ALS is a marathon, not a sprint, and having a strong support system is vital. This includes family, friends, and support groups. Connecting with others who understand what you're going through can be incredibly powerful. And remember, if you or a loved one are struggling with the emotional impact of an ALS diagnosis, please reach out for mental health support. Speaking with a counselor or a therapist can provide valuable coping strategies. Research is moving forward every day, with scientists around the world working tirelessly to find more effective treatments and ultimately a cure. Participating in clinical trials can be an option for some, contributing to this vital research. So, while an ALS diagnosis is life-changing, it's not the end of the story. A comprehensive care plan that includes medication, various therapies, and strong emotional support can make a profound difference in managing the disease and living a meaningful life. Thank you for watching. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Take care. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about something incredibly important and often misunderstood: amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS. You might know it as Lou Gehrig's disease. It's a condition that affects nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord, leading to loss of muscle control. The big question on everyone's mind is, can ALS be prevented or stopped? Let's dive into what science tells us today. First, it's crucial to understand that there is currently no cure for ALS. That's a tough reality, but it's where we are. The disease is complex, and in about 90% of cases, it's sporadic, meaning it occurs without any known family history or genetic cause. The other 10% is familial, linked to specific gene mutations. This distinction is key because it shapes how researchers approach prevention and treatment. So, let's talk about prevention. Since the cause of most ALS cases is unknown, there are no proven methods to completely prevent it. However, researchers are looking at potential environmental and lifestyle risk factors. For example, some studies have suggested links between ALS and exposure to certain toxins like lead and pesticides, as well as things like smoking and intense physical exertion, particularly in professional athletes. It's important to note that these links are still being investigated and are not definitive causes. What does this mean for you? It points towards the general advice we hear for many health conditions: living a healthy lifestyle. Minimizing exposure to known toxins, not smoking, and eating a balanced diet rich in antioxidants are good practices for overall brain and body health, even if they aren't specific ALS prevention strategies. Now, what about stopping or slowing its progression once diagnosed? This is where the real fight is happening in labs and clinics around the world. While we can't stop ALS in its tracks yet, we have made progress. There are a few FDA-approved medications that can help slow the progression of the disease to a modest degree. They don't cure it, but they can extend life and maintain quality of life for a longer period. This is a huge deal for patients and their families, offering precious more time. Beyond medication, a multidisciplinary approach to care is vital. This means a team of specialist neurologists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, and nutritionists working together. Physical therapy can help maintain muscle function and mobility for as long as possible. Speech therapy can assist with communication and swallowing difficulties. Nutritional support is crucial because people with ALS can have trouble eating and may lose weight rapidly. These supportive therapies don't stop the disease's core process, but they are absolutely essential for managing symptoms and improving day-to-day life. The most exciting frontier is in genetic research. For the familial form of ALS, scientists have identified several gene mutations, like SOD1 and C9orf72. This has opened the door to groundbreaking gene therapies. We're now seeing clinical trials for treatments that target these specific genes, aiming to silence them or correct their function. Some early results are incredibly promising, showing a potential to significantly slow or even halt the disease in people with these specific genetic markers. This is the cutting edge, and it offers a real glimmer of hope that we might one day be able to stop certain forms of ALS. So, to circle back to our original question, can ALS be prevented and stopped? The honest answer for now is no, not completely. We can't guarantee prevention, and we don't have a cure that stops it. But we are not powerless. We can make lifestyle choices that support our neuro. For those diagnosed, there are treatments and therapies that can slow progression and manage symptoms effectively. And most importantly, research is moving faster than ever before. The progress in genetics gives us a clear reason to be optimistic. If you or a loved one are affected by ALS, know that you are not alone. There are amazing support networks and organizations dedicated to helping families navigate this journey. It's a tough fight, but it's one being fought by brilliant scientists, dedicated caregivers, and incredibly brave patients. Every single ALS treatment looks brighter than it ever has. Thanks for watching today. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe for more content on health and science. See you next time. Ever wondered what it's like when your brain's commands no longer reach your muscles? It's a reality for people with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, often called Lou Gehrig's disease. ALS is a progressive neurodegenerative disease that affects nerve cells in the brain and the spinal cord. Let's break down how this condition impacts the human body, step by step. Imagine your brain is the CEO of your body, and your spinal cord is the main communication highway. The nerves branching out from the spinal cord, called motor neurons, are the messengers that carry instructions from the CEO to the employees' your muscles. These messages tell your muscles to do everything from walking and talking to breathing. In ALS, these messengers, the motor neurons, gradually break down and die. When they die, the brain can no longer initiate and control muscle movement. It's like the communication lines are being cut one by one. The brain is still sending out the signals, but they never arrive at their destination. So, what happens to the muscles? Without receiving any commands, they start to weaken and waste away. The term amyotrophic actually comes from Greek. It means no. Myo refers to muscle, and trophic means nourishment. So, amyotrophic literally means no muscle nourishment. When a muscle has no nerve nourishment, it atrophies or wastes away. The lateral part of the name identifies the areas in a person's spinal cord, where portions of the nerve cells that signal and control the muscles are located. As this area degenerates, it leads to scarring or hardening, which is sclerosis in Greek. The early symptoms of ALS can be quite subtle. It might start with a twitch in a finger, a weakness in a hand or a leg, or maybe slurred speech. A person might find themselves tripping more often, dropping things, or having difficulty with simple tasks like buttoning a shirt. Because the onset is so gradual, it's often overlooked at first. As the disease progresses, the muscle weakness spreads to other parts of the body. Eventually, it affects the ability to walk, stand, use one's hands and arms, and even hold one's head up. Daily activities that we take for granted become incredibly challenging. One of the most difficult aspects of ALS is how it affects speaking and swallowing. The muscles in the mouth, jaw, and throat also weaken. This can lead to slurred speech, making it hard for others to understand. Swallowing becomes difficult, which can cause problems with eating and drinking, leading to malnutrition and dehydration. This is known as dysphagia. But perhaps the most critical impact of ALS is on breathing. The diaphragm and the muscles in the chest wall are essential for respiration. As these muscles weaken, breathing becomes progressively more difficult. Initially, a person might feel short of breath during activity, but eventually, it can become a problem even at rest. Most people with ALS will eventually need a ventilator to help them breathe. Here's a crucial point to understand. For the majority of people with ALS, their mind remains sharp. Their senses, sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell are not affected. They are fully aware of what is happening to their bodies. They can think, reason, and feel emotions just as they always have. Imagine being trapped inside a body that you can no longer control. This is the profound and heartbreaking reality for many. While there is currently no cure for ALS, there is hope. Research is advancing every day, exploring new treatments to slow the progression of the disease and manage its symptoms. Therapies like physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy can help people maintain independence for as long as possible. Assistive technology, from communication devices to mobility aids, plays a vital role in improving quality of life. Living with ALS is an immense challenge, not just for the person diagnosed but for their families and caregivers as well. It requires incredible strength, resilience, and a strong support system. If you or someone you know is affected by ALS, remember that there are resources available. Organizations like the ALS Association provide invaluable support, information, and community. Facing a diagnosis like this can be isolating, but you don't have to go through it alone. Reaching out and connecting with others can make a world of difference. Thank you for taking the time to learn about ALS with me today. Spreading awareness is a powerful first step in supporting the fight against this disease. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content that matters. Stay curious, stay compassionate, and I'll see you in the next video.